Have you ever felt like the pain you carry is too much to bear? Like life knocked you down so hard, you forgot how to get back up? You're not alone. Some of the greatest lives ever lived were built right in the middle of chaos and loss. Chris Gardner was homeless, sleeping in public restrooms with his little boy, until he turned that pain into a mission that led him to Wall Street. Admiral James Stockdale spent 7 brutal years as a prisoner of war in Vietnam, kept going not by hope, but by holding on to meaning. Malala Yousafzai was shot in the face simply for wanting an education, and she chose to stand taller, not just for herself, but for millions. Nelson Mandela lost 27 years of freedom, but walked out of prison without hate in his heart, only purpose. What allowed these people to endure what many can't even imagine, and still choose to rise? That question is the heartbeat of Viktor Frankl's legacy. A Holocaust survivor, a psychiatrist, and one of the most profound thinkers of the 20th century, Frankl saw firsthand that when everything else is stripped away, what keeps a person alive is not comfort, it's meaning. And today, we walk that path with him. Alongside Frankl, we'll hear the voice of modern psychologist Jordan Peterson, whose teachings on responsibility and personal transformation offer a bridge from Frankl's time to our own. This isn't just a story of pain. It's the blueprint for turning pain into strength. So, if you've ever wondered whether the suffering you've been through can mean something, whether there's a way to carry your past without it crushing your future, stay with us. In the midst of winter, I found there was, within me, an invincible summer. Albert Camus. When life collapses around you, what's left to hold on to? Viktor Frankl believed that meaning is not a luxury, it's a survival tool. While enduring the horrors of Auschwitz, stripped of family, home, and dignity, Frankl made one final decision. They could take everything from him, except how he responded. That freedom, he said, is the last of all human freedoms. He noticed something striking. Those who survived longest weren't the physically strongest, but the ones who felt their suffering meant something. They had a why. Frankl himself chose his. He imagined himself lecturing after the war, helping others find strength through purpose. That image, though imaginary, gave him psychological strength stronger than food or medicine. Meaning became his fuel. Chris Gardner's life echoed that same blueprint. Homeless, jobless, a single father sleeping in subway bathrooms. His situation was desperate, but Gardner chose to believe that his struggle would serve a greater purpose. He visualized a future where he could provide not just for his son, but also prove that circumstance doesn't define destiny. His why made his suffering sacred. Years later, he became a millionaire and inspired millions with his story. Admiral James Stockdale, captured and tortured for 7 years during the Vietnam War, famously said he never doubted that he would prevail, but also never ignored the brutal facts of his reality. Like Frankl, he held on to meaning as his anchor, not blind hope. He accepted the pain, but refused to let it define him. Jordan Peterson expands on this idea. You must take responsibility for your life. If you don't find meaning in your suffering, it will consume you. For Peterson, meaning isn't something that happens to you. It's something you earn by choosing a path that matters, even when it hurts. Malala Yousafzai was just a teenager when she was targeted and shot by extremists for wanting to attend school. Her pain could have turned into bitterness, but she chose something far greater, purpose. Her voice became a global symbol of courage, and her suffering gave light to millions of girls denied education. Nelson Mandela, imprisoned for nearly 3 decades, emerged not with revenge, but with reconciliation. He understood what Frankl taught. When we find meaning in pain, we rise above it. Mandela turned prison into preparation and transformed a nation. Carl Jung once wrote, "The person who looks outside dreams. The one who looks inside awakens." These individuals looked inward and found power, not pity. Tony Robbins calls this transformation the gift in the pain. He teaches that suffering doesn't have to break you. It can shape you. Pain, when channeled through purpose, becomes fuel. So ask yourself, what is your pain trying to teach you? What why can you hold on to when life is hardest? Because when your life has meaning, even your suffering can shine. He who has a why to live can bear almost any how. Friedrich Nietzsche. Pain is real, but suffering, that's optional. That's the radical shift Viktor Frankl offered the world from the gates of a concentration camp. You cannot always control what happens to you, but you can always choose how you respond. And in that choice lives your freedom. Frankl shared a powerful example. A doctor, devastated by the death of his wife, came to him in despair. There was no changing the loss. But Frankl gently asked, "What if she had died after you? Can you imagine her pain?" The man nodded slowly. Then Frankl said, "You have spared her that pain. Your suffering in this light is a gift of love." The man left with tears in his eyes, but lighter. This wasn't therapy. It was a reframe. A shift in perspective that turned heartbreak into meaning. That's the true power of perspective. Jordan Peterson puts it bluntly. Responsibility is the shortest path to meaning. Life isn't meant to be painless. It's meant to be purposeful. And when we take ownership of our story, no matter how painful, we reclaim our power. Stephen Hawking lived that truth. At 21, he was told he had 2 years to live, that he'd lose all mobility. But instead of giving up, he turned inward and upward, expanding the cosmos through thought alone. His body declined, but his mind, it soared. He once said, "However difficult life may seem, there is always something you can do and succeed at." Even in silence, he taught the universe to listen. Temple Grandin's mind didn't fit the world's mold. Diagnosed with autism at a time when institutions were the norm, she was told she'd never function. But she saw the world differently, and that difference became her gift. She revolutionized animal welfare, advocated for neurodiversity, and proved that the frame through which we see the world can change the world itself. Carol Dweck, a leading psychologist, revealed why some people thrive in hardship while others collapse. It's not talent. It's not luck. It's mindset. Those with a fixed mindset believe pain defines them. Those with a growth mindset believe pain develops them. As Dweck says, the view you adopt for yourself profoundly affects the way you lead your life. Tyler Perry's story is built on this very principle. Abused as a child, homeless as a young man, laughed at, dismissed, ignored. But he didn't let those frames define him. He rewrote his past, not by forgetting it, but by building on it. Today, he's one of the most powerful voices in Hollywood. Not in spite of his trauma, but because he transformed it. And then there's Terry Fox, a young Canadian diagnosed with cancer. His leg was amputated. Most would have grieved. Terry decided to run. With one leg, he began a cross-country marathon to raise money for cancer research. A marathon every day. Through pain, through storms, through exhaustion. He didn't finish the run, but he ignited a nation. Millions now run every year in his name. His life didn't get longer, but his impact echoes forever. Thank you, Terry. Joe Dispenza bridges science and spirituality in the same arena. He teaches that our thoughts wire our brains, and those wires shape our emotional reality. Pain may visit you, but with practice, intention, and repetition, you can reframe it. You can change the story. And when you do, you change your future. So ask yourself, what memory still weighs you down? What would happen if you gave it a different meaning? What if that pain was your turning point? Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. Viktor Frankl. There's a kind of strength the world can't see. A quiet fire lit by pain and fueled by purpose. Viktor Frankl discovered that even in the heart of human suffering, we can still rise, if we find meaning in the madness. This wasn't just theory, it was survival. Out of the ashes of Auschwitz, Frankl gave the world logotherapy, a blueprint built on 3 core pillars. 1. The will to meaning. We don't live for happiness, we live for purpose. It's not about what we want from life. It's about what life expects from us. 2. The meaning of suffering. If suffering is inevitable, we must give it meaning. That meaning doesn't erase the pain, but it transforms it. 3. The freedom of will. Even when stripped of everything, we still own one sacred power. The freedom to choose our attitude. And in that choice we become. Frankl wrote, "For the world is in a bad state, but everything will become still worse unless each of us does his best." This chapter is about doing your best with your worst. Jordan Peterson echoes Frankl's cry for meaning in chaos. Life is suffering. Your only chance is to carry it with purpose. He teaches that when we take on a responsibility to serve something greater than ourselves, the chaos begins to organize. Fred Rogers lived this quietly. He didn't preach. He listened. He didn't conquer. He comforted. Through a television screen, he spoke to children and to the wounded child inside each of us. You are loved just by being you, he would say. And somehow, he made us believe it. Chadwick Boseman carried the weight of a terminal illness while filming roles that empowered millions. He kept his diagnosis private, not out of denial, but devotion. He knew that legacy is not what you leave behind. It's what you build every day, even when you're breaking. His strength was silent. His impact eternal. Jim Rohn, a mentor to millions, once said, "Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better." That's the voice of purpose. It doesn't make life lighter, it makes you stronger. Simon Sinek's Golden Circle begins with one question. Why? Why do you get up when life knocks you down? Why do you keep showing up when no one sees you? Why does your pain matter? When you find your why, your how becomes unstoppable. Eric Thomas had nothing. No father, no home, no hope. But one day, sleeping in abandoned buildings, he made a decision. It ends with me. He used rejection as rocket fuel. Today, his voice lifts millions, and his pain became his power. And then there's Rob Jones, a U.S. Marine who lost both legs in Afghanistan. Most would stop there. Rob didn't. He trained. He ran 31 marathons in 31 days. On prosthetic legs. For veterans. For hope. For legacy. Pain didn't end his mission. It defined it. Harriet Tubman is proof that love is a revolution. She escaped the chains of slavery, only to return. Again and again. She risked everything to rescue others, guided only by faith and fire. I never ran my train off the track, she said. And she never lost a single soul. These stories aren't about perfect people. They're about people who found meaning where most see only darkness, who turned wounds into wisdom, who chose to serve instead of sink. So now we ask you, who would you suffer for? What cause would make pain feel meaningful? What if your scars weren't signs of damage, but of devotion? Not all of us will lead movements, but every one of us can live with meaning. And that's enough to change the world. Not all of us can do great things, but we can do small things with great love. Mother Teresa. You just travel through pain, purpose, resilience, and transcendence, not in theory, but through real lives that prove one thing. Meaning is not found. It is made. Viktor Frankl taught us that suffering without meaning leads to despair, but suffering embraced with purpose becomes power. He showed us, through unthinkable loss and darkness, that no matter how brutal life becomes, you still hold the pen. You still write the next chapter. From Gardner's hope in a subway bathroom, to Stockdale's endurance in a prison cell, to Malala's courage in the face of a bullet, to Mandela's forgiveness after decades in chains. All of them made a choice, not to be broken, but to become. Stephen Hawking expanded the universe from a chair. Temple Grandin changed how the world sees minds that think differently. Terry Fox didn't finish his marathon, but he started a movement. And you have the same power they had. Maybe your pain hasn't made sense yet. Maybe your past feels too heavy. But let Frankl's words echo in you. When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. You are not the victim of your story. You are the author of your legacy. To every soul we honored here, thank you. To Fred Rogers, Chadwick Boseman, Harriet Tubman, and every voice of courage, thank you. To the brilliant minds of Peterson, Dweck, Sinek, Young, Dispenza, Rohn, and Robbins, thank you. And above all, to Viktor Frankl. Your life was the light. Your suffering was the seed. Your legacy still saves lives. If this message moved you, share it. Subscribe. Comment with what purpose drives you. Help this legacy reach someone who needs it. And until we meet again, carry this truth in your heart. What is to give light must endure burning. Viktor Frankl. You are the meaning. Now go live like it.
Hey, incredible growth seekers. Wow, what a journey. If this video resonated, subscribe now for more life-changing content. Join our community of self-improvers. Smash that like button to fuel more content on mindfulness, goal setting, and emotional intelligence. Share this video to create a ripple of positive change. Comment below about your growth journey. Your insights shape our content. Next week, boosting self-confidence and overcoming limiting beliefs. Don't miss it. Every interaction brings us closer to a world of empowered individuals. Let's make personal development global. Stay inspired, keep growing. Your best self awaits. Let's unlock it together.